Thanks, guys, to the association where it's the offseason of Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks are listening to offers for the two-time MVP, who is coming off a career-low 36 games played this past season. Giannis said last year that it might be time to move on. Team co-owner Jimmy Haslam said we'll find out soon whether Giannis signs a max contract to stay or is moved elsewhere. For more, let's bring in our senior NBA reporter, Brian Windhorst. So what's the latest that you're hearing on the Giannis trade front?
Yeah, if it feels a little bit like NBA business is frozen waiting for this, well, it is, because this isn't just about what might happen between Giannis and where he might get traded to 2 or 3 places that are most likely to land him. But this could trigger second and third level moves where the players who were involved in this trade for Giannis could be removed. And those teams that could potentially get involved in that are standing by and watching closely. And that even could involve further draft picks. Just go back a couple of years ago when one of the big moves of the summer was Dame Lillard getting traded to Milwaukee. Well, that maneuver freed up Drew Holiday to be traded in a secondary trade to Boston, a trade that ended up being one of the most important trades of the summer. So you have teams sitting with cap space waiting to see if they have an opportunity like that. A team like the Lakers, a team like the Nets, a team like the Pistons. And so to a certain extent, Giannis is holding up all NBA business right now.
All right, we'll wait to see what is going on in Milwaukee. The future of LeBron James is also up in the air. He's set to become an unrestricted free agent. Wendy, what's the likelihood that he returns to the Lakers for his 24th season?
Well, I think LeBron is quite interested in going back to the Lakers. And here's the thing about this. LeBron is one of the top 3 or 4 free agents on the market. And if the Lakers were able to re-sign him, especially if it's less than the max contract he was on last year, it would be considered a win. But the thing is, to find the number that you're going to want to offer LeBron James, it may take a little time. The Lakers may want to see what becomes available via trade that they could use cap space on, what happens around the draft, and what free agents they might be able to land. And something else from LeBron's side. Even though you have a pretty good idea who has cap space today, that doesn't mean it'll be the same in 10 or 12 days when we get to free agency. There could be other teams that have interest in LeBron that could make moves in the next week to open up cap space to chase him. Everybody calm down and wait for the situation. Meanwhile, LeBron has moved his summer trip from the golf course to the seaside. Yeah. He's chill. Don't worry.
Yeah. He's spending a lot of time with his former team. Today is the 10th anniversary of LeBron and the Cavs winning Game 7 against the Warriors, and they've been having a lot of fun. Wendy, thank you.
If I said LeBron will leave the Lakers this offseason, is that McNuts?
No, it's not McNuts at all. I'm not 100% sure where he's going. I don't know that. But he could do whatever he wants at this point. And it's clear that the Lakers kind of need to begin to move into their future, which in the long term will not include LeBron. It's been a fantastic career, but it's wrapping up.
The guy has been the ultimate content machine. I don't know what we're going to do when he's gone. Maybe we go down to 3 days a week. Finally, is it McNuts to say Giannis will be on a new team next season?
Nah, it's not at all. It seems like we are... Untenable is a strong word, but I feel like we're heading there, even though maybe Giannis himself might not want to say it. But at this point, the back and forth and I'll let Vinny elaborate on that. It just, move on. Move on. He brought a championship to the city, but it clearly is not working any longer.
All right, let's get Wendy and Vince Goodwill in here as well for this conversation. Wendy, I want to begin with you. Is Giannis the biggest chip everyone is waiting for this offseason in the NBA?
Absolutely, without question, because even though there may only be 2 or 3 teams that are truly in the Giannis bidding, when you have a trade of this magnitude with potentially a bunch of pieces moving around, very often there's cascading side deals. A classic example of this was a couple of years ago when Dame Lillard was traded. We had no idea where he was going. He goes to Milwaukee, but that ended up leading Drew Holiday to be rerouted to the Celtics. And that Drew Holiday trade to the Celtics was one of the most consequential moves of that entire offseason. And the Celtics didn't even know it was going to be possible until they saw Dame Lillard get moved. So when you have a team like the Los Angeles Lakers that have enormous amounts of salary cap space and they're not sure how they're going to spend it, they're watching this Giannis situation very closely, because even though they're not going to get Giannis, a trade could end up falling into their lap that it could end up really helping them.
The timing of these situations is always fascinating because of what it means, not for the teams involved, but for everyone else with the ancillary ripple effects. What do you think happens if a Giannis trade doesn't go down soon?
It better. Because, hey, what are we going to be talking about if it doesn't happen? But secondarily, if you think about it, this thing is dragged on for so long. Will he, won't he? And it doesn't seem like there's a future for Giannis in Milwaukee as far as where he needs to go. Secondarily, if you're one of these other teams, you're Boston, if you're Miami, you can't make contingency plans. Like, when you get Giannis, you know what you also have to get? Shooting. You know what you also have to get? Maybe another backup big. You can't go and get those things until you get the big piece and you know that you actually have the big piece, and especially if it's Miami. Let's say it's Miami. They probably have to get a third team involved. Who's that third team going to be? Does that involve Tyler Hero? What does that mean? So a lot of NBA business cannot start until this piece of business is handled.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm with Vinny. It needs to get done sooner rather than later. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but you definitely have to get pieces around Giannis. And I also think you've got to make sure that you've got the personality pieces that are going to be required. I mean, Giannis is a big-time superstar. He comes with big-time superstar things. We'll see. I'm just not sure where he is at this point in his career. Is he still a very valuable asset? 100%. I mean, he's a guy that is constant conversation in the MVP race when you just look at it statistically. But we've not seen him really perform in a postseason in 3 years now. So I'm really fascinated to see what teams think that they're going to do if they make this move.
Health ultimately a concern as well. Wendy, final word. Jump back in here.
Yeah, so I feel like the whole league, to a certain extent, is going to change when Giannis is moved. And I do believe he will be moved. And when that happens, there's going to be a change in the balance of power. The team that acquires him is going to become, on some level, a contender. And so that's why we spend all of this time paying attention to it. But when you're trading a player that makes $50 million in this modern day and age, it's extraordinarily complicated. And that's why it's very tedious. But every single day that goes by, these negotiations, it's because there's so much stakes, there's so much skin in the game, and that's why we talk about it every day.
It was so much fun when this started with Giannis saying, I don't want to request a trade. I just, remember all that?
Milwaukee Bucks. But how that actually affects the way teams want to move around and picks fly around in this draft, right?
Yeah, one of the reasons why the league is a little bit frozen right now is not just because of who might get Giannis. It's the second and third layer. This is going to be probably a very large multiplayer trade. And there might open up opportunities for third, fourth, fifth, even fifth teams to get in on this. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, we saw Dame Lillard as one of the big trades in the offseason. Dame Lillard goes to Milwaukee, and it ends up allowing Drew Holiday to move to Boston.
Right.
And that move, Drew Holiday ending up in Boston, ended up being impactful in the championship race. And so, like, you have a team like the Lakers, for example. The Lakers are sitting there with potentially a lot of salary cap space. Who's to say that this trade potential trade with Giannis doesn't open up an opportunity for them to get in and get a player that could potentially help them? So you've got a bunch of teams watching around the outside of the circle as Milwaukee tries to handle their business in the coming days.
What's the timeline we're looking on, like with that, Bobby?
Well, I think you have to have something concrete by the night of the draft, Malika. And I think certainly if you're looking at a team like Miami, who's at pick 13, and certainly they're in play with Giannis, I think if you're the Bucks, you want to have an idea, because you basically would be picking for the Heat in that situation. Or if you had the 13th pick, let's say something happens over the weekend, can you take 10 and 13, your other first, and potentially get into maybe the top 8 in this year's draft? So Brian hit it right on the head. There's a part 1 to this trade, and then there's going to be a part 2, 3, and potentially 4 as something else that could happen here.
Well, and to tag off of what Bobby just said there, like if you're moving into the top 10, the reason why this is the draft that you want to be able to do that in is because of the plethora of talent.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think Brian mentioned it, the Clippers at 5. That's where the draft really becomes fun, because you've got some guard play there where you're anticipating you're drafting a guard that can be your lead guard for the next decade. That's how deep and how talented this draft is at the guard position in particular. And so for the Bucks, if they're able to make a move because of Giannis and trade up, this has been a draft class that came into college basketball